Hello, welcome to the Sunny Slasher Show. Today we'll be counting down the top 10 iconic deaths in the Final Destination series of films. With talks of a sixth film being in the works, now seems like the perfect time to revisit the completely crazy and sometimes downright disgusting deaths that last graced the big screen 10 years ago. For this list, I'll be ranking the most iconic deaths of the films. So these are the ones that were especially significant in the franchise, the ones that were burned in the back of your brain because of how gruesome they were, or ones that potentially made you avoid things like planes, roller coasters, or race car stadiums for the rest of your life. And speaking of, this list will not include the big disasters and premonitions, only individual deaths of the characters. So without further ado, let's get into the list. Number 10. Samantha Lane, The Final Destination. The fourth film in the series doesn't do much well at all, but there are a few shining moments in the creativity of its deaths. The death scene of Samantha Lane, a middle-aged mother looking to get her hair cut for a special occasion, stands out for its many red herrings. It is hard to watch when you see just how many things could go wrong and kill her at any moment. There's the scraping of the toenails, bottles flying off shelves and moving on their own, a faulty salon chair, scissors coming too close for comfort, and a ceiling fan barely holding onto the ceiling. The building suspense ultimately leads to the fan crashing down from the ceiling and not killing her. She finishes her haircut unscathed, only to get a rock launched into her eye from a lawnmower passing by as she exits the salon. Yikes. Number 9. Eugene Dix and Clear Rivers, Final Destination 2. These deaths are on here for multiple reasons. First, this scene involves one of the most elaborate Rube Goldberg machine's death designs in the whole series. There's carts moving, vents closing, and a very unfortunate oxygen leak. Death is really pulling out all the stops to finish off poor Eugene here. Then suddenly a miracle happens and Eugene's life support comes back on. He's safe. Until Clear walks in. The electrical cord is pulled out of its socket, causing a spark that absolutely incinerates the both of them. These deaths are also on the list as they put an end to Ali Larter's iconic character, Clear Rivers, who is the only survivor of a disaster to star in more than one film. At least she went out with a bang. Number 8. Hunt Wynorski, The Final Destination. The fourth film is on here again with the death of Hunt, a pretty boring character whose only trait is being an awful person. After his lucky coin gets knocked into a pool, he dives in to retrieve it only to get stuck on the pool drain. The logistics here don't make much sense, but Hunt is stuck underwater while his friends race to save him. We watch him struggle for a while, concerned that he's going to drown, which would be pretty tame considering the nature of these films, but no, what happens is way more disgusting. Hunt's insides are forcefully sucked outside into the pool drain, which ultimately explodes from the pressure, leaving the whole pool painted red. And he never even found his coin. Number 7. Todd Wagner, Final Destination. Todd's death is iconic for being the very first death we see in the whole franchise. And it doesn't disappoint. We're introduced to Death's shenanigans of messing with every single little thing in order to get his victims, and the scene is full of moments with a razor and tweezers that make you physically wince while watching. What ends up doing Todd in is him slipping on a puddle, falling into a wire that gets wrapped around his neck, and then falling into his bathtub, which is full of slippery hair products. Todd struggles for a few unbearable minutes, unable to cut himself free, and is asphyxiated in his own bathroom. It's a pretty brutal introduction to the premise of the films, and there's also extremely noticeable ominous wind and shadows, and the puddle that Todd slips on just gets absorbed back into the toilet, as if death needs to hide his evidence. It's weird. Number 6. Nora Carpenter, Final Destination 2. Personally, Nora's death is one that has always stuck with me / traumatized me since I saw it as a kid. I truly think of it every time I get on an elevator. Nora is a widowed mother who has just lost her son in addition to her husband. For these reasons, she thinks that she is ready to be with her family and says that she isn't scared of any premonitions or freak accident deaths. However, when another character sees a sign of a man with hooks, the survivors call Nora and tell her to look out. Unfortunately for her, there's a man with hooks right behind her. Talk about bad luck. In her panic to escape the elevator, her hair gets caught on one of these hooks and the elevator doors end up closing on her neck. The scene is painful to watch, and we see as Nora struggles as the machinery forcefully lifts her body up. She yells out, "I don't want to die," as she does, in fact, die. She's decapitated, and her head is left with poor Eugene, who probably really wants to get out of that elevator. Number 5. Erin Ulmer, Final Destination 3. Erin's death is memorable for its build-up as well as its suddenness. We see her and the fellow survivors of the third film in a hardware store, which is really one of the worst places to be if death could be trying to kill you at any given moment. As expected, plenty of things go wrong here, with chemicals spilling, chains falling, and forklifts driving themselves. However, Erin is not actually the one who's next on death's list. This honor goes to her boyfriend Ian, and just as Ian is about to be impaled by some wooden spikes, he's pushed out of harm's way and saved. So no one has to die, right? Wrong. Erin, now at the top of death's list, is thrown back from the commotion right onto a nail gun. The nail gun repeatedly shoots nails into the back of her skull all the way through her hand while the rest of the survivors watch in horror. I don't know about you, but this scene gave me an irrational fear of hardware stores and nail guns. Number 4. Lori Milligan, The Final Destination. For this one, I had to break my own rule a little bit. I know I said none of these deaths would be from premonitions in this series, but this one does happen to an individual character, and it's just too scarring to leave out. Lori is the love interest of the main character and visionary of the fourth film, Nick O'Bannon. In this scene, Nick has another premonition of a mall explosion where his girlfriend is watching a movie and rushes there to save her. He's obviously unsuccessful, which is why she's on the list. While trying to escape the mall, the couple makes the mistake of running down a now broken escalator. Lori falls and is left dangling above some broken gears while Nick tries to pull her up. Ultimately, her foot falls into the gears, followed by the rest of her body, and she's just ground to bits. The scene is so disgusting it needed to be here. If Final Destination 2 left me scared of elevators, this scene in Final Destination 4 left me terrified of escalators. Number 3. Olivia Castle, Final Destination 5. So I know people in horror movies aren't supposed to be like geniuses, but getting laser eye surgery while death itself is out to get you seems like it's on a new level of stupid. But that's exactly what Olivia does in Final Destination 5 after becoming sick of her life with glasses. Once in the operating room, her head is strapped into place and the operator leaves the room, which probably should never happen. A watery malfunction leads to the machine's laser eye power increasing to dangerous levels. In her panic to stop it, Olivia accidentally knocks the remote off the table and starts the painful process of getting her eye lasered. But with her head locked in place, it's not easy for her to escape. And it's not just her eye getting burned, the machine actually takes her hand with it. You might think this is the end for Olivia, but she actually manages to break free from the machine, only to trip and fall 10 stories to her death. Personally, I'm good living with context. Number 2. Candace Hooper, Final Destination 5. Another entry from the fifth movie, Candace's death earns the second place spot for being probably the most stress-inducing death on the list. Candace is a gymnast, and in this scene, we see her practicing her routine before the big championship. Like with others on this list, we see plenty of things that could go wrong and kill her. There's electrical wires and faulty air conditioners, but there's also the screw. A screw falls from the air conditioning machine right onto a balance beam and threatens to have Candace step on it at any moment. It is so hard to watch her move around knowing she could easily step on it and feel excruciating pain, but she doesn't. Another girl does, and this girl sets off a chain reaction while Candace is on the bars that lead to her flipping off and snapping in half like a glow stick. And that image of her does not leave your brain soon after you see it. And number 1, Ashley Freund and Ashlyn Halperin, Final Destination 3. At number 1 is the excruciating deaths of poor teenage best friends Ashley and Ashlyn in Final Destination 3. After escaping the fatal roller coaster crash, the two just want to look good for their high school graduation, so they decide to go tanning at the salon, and it really could not go worse. They make the poor decision to bring in a cold beverage, which is prohibited, and the condensation from the cups somehow finds a way to yet again cause the machine to malfunction. As they lay in the tanning beds that are slowly increasing in temperature, the air conditioner turns on. This gust causes a coat rack to fall over onto a plant, which then falls over onto a shelf, which dislodges and jams itself between two of the tanning beds. As the temperature grows hotter and hotter, the girls begin to scream as their skin blisters and the bulbs in the bed explode. Eventually, both tanning beds catch on fire and the girls turn to ash, as their names imply. This pretty easily is the most painful death scene in all of the films, and if you're white as snow, it may convince you to stay that way. I really hope you enjoyed this list of the most iconic deaths from the Final Destination series. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. It would help the channel grow a lot and help me produce more content like this. And if there are any deaths in the series that you think that I missed or ordered wrong, or if there's another topic you'd like me to cover, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear you out. And until the next video, thank you for watching the Sunny Slasher Show. Bye!